Hello. Now, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll start then. Is the screen visible to you? Okay, is the screen is visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
In last lecture, we have completed ignition circuit system and the fuel system. Okay. Today we are starting with the transmission system. So transmission is the device that is connected to the back of the engine. Basically, what is the job of this transmission is uh, to transfer the engine speed or the torque to the driving wheel through this transmission, drive shaft and differential to the driving wheel. So that is the main functioning of transmission system. Okay, so your transmission system consists of various parts like engine, clutch, transmission, drive shaft, differential, and this differential is connected to the wheels. Okay, so what is transmission basically here? Transmission is this red part is representing a set of gears. Okay, and this set of gears is used to adjust the speed of your vehicle. Okay, so how these gears are arranged, how these gears works. Okay, so that your engine power can be transmitted to the wheel power that we are going to see. Okay, so basically your transmission is nothing but it provides the different gear ratio. Okay, and accordingly the speed of the vehicle can be changed. So functioning of this transmission, it allows vehicle to start from rest with the engine running continuously. Okay, so it let the vehicle stop by disconnecting the drive when appropriate. So drive is, so this complete part can be starting from transmission, the remaining part get disconnected from the engine. Okay, so it enable the vehicle to start at the varied rates, that is different speeds. Okay, in the controlled manner. So it varies the speed ratio between the engine and wheels. Okay, it allows this ratio to change when required as per the driver requirement. Transmit the drive torque to the required wheels. Okay, as we have discussed. So basically the main job is to transmit the drive torque to the required wheels with different speeds. Okay. So what are the types of transmission system? there are two types of transmission system. Basically, it is mainly divided as the hydraulic and mechanical. Okay, so mechanical transmission systems basically make use of clutch, gearbox, axle, and all those things. So this is something all the mechanical components, mostly mechanical components are used. Okay, where the control is done through the manual control is existing in case of mechanical. Okay, so automatic transmission, which basically works with the hydraulic control. Okay, the hydraulic control is used using the fluid coupling, which is used within this torque converter, and automatic gear sets. Okay, adjusting automatic gear ratio. So as I said, basically mechanical is usually represented as the manual, and hydraulic transmission system can be represented as the automatic transmission system. As the word itself represents manual, the control, the wheel speed will be changed by the driver. Okay, the control is through the clutch plates. Okay, and whereas in automatic, no clutch pedal is existing. Okay, it will adjust all the gear ratios automatically. Okay, based on the accelerator input that driver is giving to the vehicle. Okay, so these are the two types of transmission that we are going to discuss now. Okay, so all automotive transmissions are equipped with varied number of forward speed gears, a neutral speed gear, and reverse speed gear. So basically these three controls are existing for any transmission system. So we are getting various different speed ratios, gear ratios for getting different speeds. Okay, whereas in neutral, so there is one more type of this transmission which is known as neutral. Okay, and in neutral again your engine is disconnected from the drive. Okay, and this is the reverse where your gears works in the reverse direction. Okay, so there are various speeds are existing. So different types of transmissions are existing, like 3-speed, 4-speed, 5-speed. So it decides the speed range according to the gear ratios. Okay, so basically what is the advantage of this transmission system is it reduces the engine speed at any given vehicle. So whatever may be the engine speed, that will be multiplied and higher speed will be applied to the drive wheels. Okay, because of this transmission or through the transmission. Okay, so it improves the fuel economy as well as it lowers the engine noise. So this is the advantage of using transmission systems. Okay, so now we'll start with the manual transmission, how this manual transmission works. So the main role in case of manual transmission is of clutches. Okay, so in a manual transmission, clutch is used. Your clutch is something like this. The clutch assembly is represented by this diagram, and the cross-sectional view is represented over here. Okay, so it is basically the multiple discs which are connected to the flywheel of which is mounted at the end of the crankshaft. So it permits engagement and disengagement of the gear when the vehicle is stationary or engine is running. Okay, so basically we need to disengage clutch whenever your engine is in the starting mode. Okay, whenever we are shifting the gears, and whenever it is in idling, that is it is halted. Okay, engine is on, but we don't want our vehicle to move. So in these three conditions, your clutch needs to be disengaged. It needs to be disconnected from the engine to the remaining drive system. Okay, and apart from this condition, the clutches are used to transmit the engine power to the road wheels. Okay, smoothly without jerks to the transmission system while setting the vehicle in motion. Okay, so whenever your vehicle is in motion, this clutch plate should be engaged with the flywheel which is connected at the end of engine. Okay, so it permits the engaging of gears when the vehicle is in motion without damaging the gear wheel. Okay, it is used to suddenly disconnect the engine drive from the transmission in case of emergency, that is whenever we want to stop the vehicle. Okay, so these are the uses or functioning of your clutch. Okay, how basically this clutch works. Okay, this is representing your clutch assembly. Okay, and this is what we can say, the yellow colored, these are the clutch plate. Okay, so this clutch plate is always connected, and these are the so this in between, that is representing your clutch plates, and this one yellow one is the pressure plate. Okay, so usually this pressure plate is in contact with the clutches. Okay, so it is simply pressing those clutch plates so that clutch plates get connected to your flywheel, which is connected at the end of the crankshaft. Okay, and whenever this clutch plate is connected with this flywheel, the whatever is the input torque or the power will be transferred to the transmission system, which is connected at the output of this clutch plate. Okay, so whenever you press this clutch plate, okay, these pressure plates will be pulled out. Okay, and as you can see here, so this complete pressure plate will be pulled out, and hence your disc clutches get disconnected from the flywheel. Okay, and this is how your clutch is working, or it will be used to engage or disengage the engine power from the remaining drive. So this particular, the first figure is representing engaging the disc with the engine, and this one is representing disengaging the engine from the remaining drive. Okay, so you can see a small gap in between this blue and brown or blackish color. Okay, which is representing your clutch plates. Okay, so this is how your clutch plate is used for engaging and disengaging the engine from the drive system. Okay, to the drive system. Now, how exactly your manual transmission system works? Before starting with, or before going to working of the manual system, so how these gears will play role to multiply the speed, that we'll see. Okay, so this is an example, in this figure you can just see there are two sets of gears. Okay, here the first one is having, it is represented by 20. So 20T is representing the number of slots that disk is having, which is known as the teeth. So this particular disk is having 20 teeth, which is just working or rotating in synchronous with this orange color disk. Okay, which is having 40 slots or 40 teeth. Okay, and whatever is the input power that is connected to this particular disk through this gear set. Okay, and again the output of this first set is connected to the second set, which is consisting of 50 gears consisting of 50 slots and 35 slots. Okay, now how this particular assembly works is, here we have represented the driven divided by drive. So the factor, the gain factor, the speed multiplication or reduction depends on the input and output gears, that the gear that you are using, the number of tooth that you are using. Okay, so for example here driven A divided by driver A, so this one is known as driver because the input from this particular shaft we are transferring to this shaft. So the disk with 20 slots is the driver, and a disk with 40 slots is known as the driven gear. Okay, So this will be driven by the power that is connected from this gear, 20 slotted gear. Okay, and hence the gain that we are getting is actually 40 by 20. That is, the input speed will be multiplied by it will be just multiplied by factor of 2. Okay, and if the same thing is connected to another gear set, okay, again this whatever is the speed we are getting, that is getting multiplied with the gain of this particular gear ratio. Okay, and this gear ratio is 35 by 15. So overall multiplication of these two is whatever is the increase in speed we are getting. So the speed which is applied at the input is getting multiplied by factor of 4.67 at the output of this set B. Okay, so this is how the speed multiplication or the engine speed will be transferred to the drive speed. Okay, so now how the increase and decrease will be decided. So this is representing driver or the input gear, and this is the driven one. As I showed in the previous one, this one is the driver and this will be driven. The same way now driver is having more teeth as compared to the driven disc. Okay, and because of this what is happening is your speed is getting reduced by half. Okay, the distance which is moved by this is only half of the whatever is output. Sorry, here the speed is getting increased. Okay, here the speed is getting increased because of whatever is the driver effort. Okay, so driver gear is bigger and also more, and hence the speed is getting increased but power is getting decreased. Okay, so power or torque, whenever we are using the driver gear is larger as compared to the driven gear, so always we are getting multiplication in the speed, whereas in the previous case it is reducing. Okay, so that is simply it can be represented as that for completing one complete rotation, so it is going through the 2 rotations, that is automatically the speed of the driven will be increasing, whereas power required is reduced because the power is nothing but it's a power of one complete revolution of your driver driver gear. Okay, and obviously for one rotation of the driven gear only half of the power is getting utilized, and hence you can you have to remember that whenever we are increasing the drive speed, okay, obviously the engine torque or engine power is getting reduced. Okay, so same thing now the reverse condition will check. Okay, so distance moved by effort is 3, whereas this distance moved by the driver is only 1. Okay, so that means the speed 3 times your input gear is rotating, whereas after 3 revolutions your output gear is completing only 1 rotation, only 1 complete movement. Okay, so that means obviously your speed is reduced by factor of 1/3. Okay, so this is what, and whenever your speed is reducing, the power is increasing. Okay, so more power, the number of times your engine has to perform the rotations are increasing. Okay, and that is what the torque is getting increased. That means obviously the power generated by the engine is more. So more power is getting utilized whenever the speed of vehicle is less. Okay. Is this clear? The gear ratio. Is there any doubt in this gear ratio? You have to simply remember that if the
No, ma'am.
okay, if the driver gear is having more number of slots as compared to the driven gear. Okay, in that case, the speed is increased.
Hello, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am, you're not audible.
So this is the assembly of the manual transmission system. Okay, so this is representing your engine, crankshaft. At the end of crankshaft, this is the flywheel, and to this flywheel your clutch assembly is connected. Okay, this clutch is connected with the clutch pedal, and this is representing your manual gear selector, gear system. Okay, and this is the selector which is selecting one of the gear. Okay, and through this is representing your output shaft. So this one is the input shaft, where the power will be the engine power is coming to this in input shaft, and it will be just given to the differential. It will be connected through the differential using this output shaft. Okay, this is the differential which is connecting required speed to the drive wheels. Okay, now basically how this gear selection is done. Okay, so manually driver is selecting the gear based on this selector position. Okay, basically it consists of this is the input shaft, as I told. This one is the layout shaft, uh, and this one is the main shaft. Okay, and these are the gears on the main shaft, and these are the gears on the way shaft. Basically these blue colored gears are not connected to this main shaft, and hence power is not transmitted through these gears. Okay, power is transmitted this gear shaft, which are the gears which are just mounted on this main shaft will be connected to the main shaft through the bearing assembly. Okay, through the gears. Okay, and hence it is simply, it can rotate, it cannot transfer any power to the this output shaft or the main shaft. Okay, so it get transferred only when this particular clutch, this is known as the violet color, this particular component is called as dog clutch. Whenever your dog clutch get connected to one of the gear. Okay, so through this dog clutch is directly mounted on this main shaft, and through this dog clutch the required power will be transmitted to this output shaft. Okay, so whenever driver selects the first gear, this dog shaft is moved towards left, it get engaged with this gear, and your input power through the lay shaft through this dog clutch will be transmitted to the main output shaft. Okay, same way in position 2, this dog clutch get moved to the second gear. For 3 and 4, the second dog clutch is used. For 5th gear, this one is used. Okay, so the third dog clutch is used, and for the reverse one, the third dog clutch get connected to the last gear. Well, that gear is it will be put in the reverse direction. It is rotating in the reverse direction, and because of reverse rotation of this particular gear, your vehicle is going into the reverse direction. Okay, I think this is very simple mechanical assembly consisting of various gear sets along with the dog clutch, and based on the position of dog clutch, it will decide whether or the power from the input shaft will be connected to the output shaft depending on the position of this dog clutches. Okay, so based on the input selector, one of this dog clutch get connected to the gears which are existing in this gearbox, and accordingly the power will be transmitted. The same thing is represented over here. The input shaft. So this is counter shaft or lay shaft, that is called as, this is lay shaft and this is the main shaft. This black colored are representing the dog clutch, which either get engaged to this particular gear or this one. Accordingly, such assemblies are just mounted to get difference in the speed, and based on this gear ratio, we are getting different speeds, okay, range of speeds at the output shaft. Okay, is that clear? Manual transmission. I think there is it's pretty simple manual working of manual transmission. Now we'll come to the automatic transmission, how exactly the automatic transmission works. Okay, what are the different parts which are responsible for this automatic transmission? Okay, so whenever we are talking about automatic transmission, there is no interference of driver is existing. So automatically based on the acceleration or braking position, it is adjusting the gear ratios. It is deciding the gear, which gear is to be set. Okay, so basically, as we have studied, in case of manual transmission, we require clutch plates. So in case of automatic transmission, engaging and disengaging of your engine with the drive is done, or with the transmission. Transmission is nothing but set of gears. Okay, the engagement of your engine with this transmission is done through the torque converter. There is a system known as torque converter, and through that torque converter we are taking the input power will be transferred to the transmission system. Okay, and yes, the main components of this automatic transmission is torque converter, so planetary gearbox system. Okay, multiple disc clutches. So this multiple disc clutches are used for deciding which particular gear is to be locked or which particular gear is to give the motion. Okay, and the hydraulic control system is used to drive this disc clutches. Okay, advantage, as everybody knows, the advantages, it's easy to control. So the main hurdle in driving is we cannot, or basically you might not be facing this one, but most of initially when we are learning, we are facing problem with changing the gears. Okay, and just that has been avoided in case of automatic transmission. So it gives you easy control on the speed or changing gears is not at all existing in case of automatic transmission. So in case of automatic transmission, there is no clutch pedal existing, okay, because we are not manually doing anything, so everything is happening automatically. So no clutch pedal. So as no clutch pedal, no clutch assembly to engage and disengage your transmission. Smooth operation we are getting. Numerous number of gear ratios can be obtained. Okay, so quick change of gear ratio is without efforts can be obtained. Minimum interruption of power during the gear shift. Okay, so these are the advantages of automatic transmission. Drawback is it's a very complex structure. Okay, and that complex structure of automatic transmission and the torque converter which is required to transmit your input power to the transmission. So all those things results into the high cost, complicated design. Okay, so basically torque converter is nothing but it works on the just in that torque converter oil is existing. It is just working on the concept of fluid coupling. Okay, so that fluid that we are using is the oil, and there is possibility of leakage of that oil and requires high maintenance. So these are the disadvantages of automatic transmission. Okay, so what is this fluid coupling or the torque converter is? Okay, so basic working principle of this torque converter can be explained just using these two table fans. Okay, so you can just observe this is one fan which is operated, which is connected to the supply, which is on, which is moving. Okay, this fan is moving. This fan is not connected. It's not, the blades are not moving because of the connection. But what happens when you place the fan which is not connected to the supply in front of the fan which is connected to the supply, and the blades are moving because of the movement of these blades. Okay, so this particular fan will be responsible to move the blades of the fan which is unconnected. Okay, and this is happening because of the air pressure that is getting created in between these two